Good morning. Welcome to First Parish, Unitarian Universalist, Canton. I am John Donovan, and I'm going to be your worship associate this morning. I am joined this morning by our minister, Reverend Dr. Clyde Grubbs, and our ministerial intern, Elizabeth Foster. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Elizabeth for the call to worship.
There we go. Our call to worship this morning is by Rebecca Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, its chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting.
Mindful that with great power comes great responsibility. In this gathered community, there is power untold. We light this chalice in the hopes that in brightest day, in blackest night, the faith will flame on, and our power will do great good in this community and in the larger world. The chalice is lit.
And now I invite us to read together our covenants. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace with respect and understanding, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve our fellows and humankind, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each other and with our God, by whatsoever name we worship. And now I will invite us to sing our opening hymn, which is 126 in your gray hymnal, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Before there was anything, there was the Almighty, the God, a few angels, and a huge swirling glob of rocks and water with no place to go. The angels asked God, "Why don't you clean up this mess?"
So, God collected rocks from the huge swirling glob and put them together in clumps and said, some of these clumps will be planets and some will be stars, and some of these rocks will be just rocks. And then God collected water from the huge swirling glob and put it together in pools of water and said some of these pools of water will be oceans and some will become clouds and some of this water will be just water.
Then the angel said, "Well, Creator One, it's neater now. Is it actually finished?"
And God answered, nope. On some of the rocks, God placed growing things and creeping things and things that only God knows what they are.
And then God had done all this. The angels asked God, "Is the world finished yet?"
And God answered, nope. God made two people from some water and dust and said to them, I am tired now. Please finish up the world for me. Really, it's almost done.
But the humans said, "We can't finish the world alone. You have the plans, and we are too little."
You are big enough, God answered them, but I agree to this. If you keep trying to finish the world, I will be your partner.
The humans asked, "What's a partner?"
And God answered, a partner is someone you work with on a big thing that neither of you can do alone. If you have a partner, it means you can never give up because your partner is depending on you. On the days you think I am not doing enough, and on the days I think you are not doing enough, even on those days we are still partners and we must not stop trying to finish the world. That's the deal.
And they all agreed to that deal.
Then the angels asked the Almighty, the Creator, the power of all, "Is the world finished yet?" And God answered, "I don't know. Go ask my partners."
This is the time in our service when we lift up the generosity of all of you, members and friends and visitors. We need your pledges and gifts to keep our doors open and our programs vibrant. For those of you participating remotely this morning, you may contribute via PayPal or mail your contribution to the church. There will be more details in the Zoom chat. We're very grateful for your gifts. Thank you. Reverend Clyde will now lead us in our prayer and meditation.
We gather this morning, let us think on where we have been and where we are now, recognizing that we are who we are and we have the opportunity to be who we want to be, to create a new influence and a new inheritance for the future. May our thoughts and words and actions in our daily lives enlist in dismantling oppression and suffering, and may our hearts reach out to those who face illness, adversity, and brokenness. Being human means we are of this earth. We are relatives to the animals and the fish in the sea, and also to the waters, the atmosphere. We are of the sun and the moon and the stars. Yes, the winds are part of this earth, the turbulent waters and the surging seas. We need to learn to live with this earth in all of her furies as well as her gentle moments. We cannot stand defiant against the earth's power in all of her manifestations. We give thanks to our individual place in time and space, to our families, to our relationships that touch and change us. May we give thanks to wise teachers who help us remember how to be and the chance to make it so. Underneath and within these stories and histories is our humanities. We are all that we see. Our wisdom is in that seeing. May we ponder these things in silence. May the meditation of our hearts and the thoughts of our heads be a blessing to us and to the world. Amen. Audrey Shenandoah expresses a concern, and when she expresses a concern, she sometimes says it out loud, so her community can hear her. Her community is so close to the city, she says, the young people of her community are drawn to the attractions of the big city. The other culture, she says. That other culture comes to them from all the directions, and it's so easy for them to lose their sense of a moral compass, to get into trouble. Audrey Shenandoah is Anagata, and the people who are indigenous to Syracuse, New York. And we can understand her lament. Children growing up targeted by advertisers, too many distractions, too many temptations, too many things to catch their attention. Can child learn guiding values wandering in a mall, wandering on the internet, hanging out with friends? Audrey Shenandoah articulates a guiding value for her community in the form of a question. She wants the young people to ask before they act. Is this going to bring harm to myself? Is this going to bring harm to any living thing? Is this going to bring harm to the world? She wants them to ask that question. And she asks, such a question prompts her young mentees to develop a spiritual virtue, respect. She wants them to develop respect. Respect for oneself, respect for all those around you, respect for the earth. She wants her community to do that. A young person has developed a sense of respect, should be able to handle all the temptations that people encounter every day. You see, Audrey Shenandoah is a clan mother, chosen by the Eagle clan of the Onondaga Nation. And clan mothers are chosen to be wisdom keepers, to provide guidance, to help by working with parents and their children, to know about what's happening with every child in her clan. The Anagata realize there is another culture out there that challenges the value of the community. Challenges because it puts forth a different set of values, and in order for the young people to gain a sense of direction, they need to have a sense of their own values. The other culture of mass media and commerce can seduce young people into buying beyond their means, to acquisition for the sake of having the latest cool needs, to sexual misadventures, and to substance abuse. Now, Audrey Shenandoah is Anagata. But Shenandoah's concern is shared by, I bet you, most families. Most families everywhere have similar concerns. One doesn't need to be indigenous American to be concerned that young people may get caught up in that other culture out there that we call by so many names. So many names. We can call it the culture of narcissism. We can call it the rat race. Or we could just say the mall. The mall. And many families share certain values that many of us would like to see embraced by young people, not because we wish to deprive children of independence to make up their own minds, but rather we have found some wisdom, we have found some alternatives to dangerous behavior, to foolish behavior. As I said, Audrey Shenandoah calls her wisdom, respect. Respect for oneself and others and for the world we live in. Respect. We hope that our young people might become aware of themselves as autonomous when faced with peer pressure to try some risky behavior, able to say no to inevitable bad guys, to con artists, to hustlers, to salespeople who will attempt to manipulate the children for their own ends. Most of us, I would suspect, most of us in this room and most of us, many people out there in the community have heard the proverb, it takes a whole village to raise a child. It takes a whole village to raise a child. There are layers of deep meaning in this saying. When many of us first heard the proverb, it was the title of a best-selling book by the former First Lady of the United States, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hillary Rodham Clinton wrote the book with a lot of help from her ghostwriter, Barbara Feldman. And in the book, It Takes a Village and Other Lessons Children Teach Us, Clinton points out that nuclear families are no longer able to depend on a harmonious village in which human beings have lived for millennia, tens of thousands of years at least. No, we live in a mobile society. And the nuclear families are often miles and miles away, days trip to see grandparents, aunts, uncles, even best friends from childhood are far away. All the essential parts of the extended family support network that has supported people for centuries and for millennia. And with the need for two incomes to maintain a basic standard of living, the parents themselves are pulled away from the home to their jobs. Parents return home in separate cars. Parents may not even work in the same shift. This puts a lot of pressure on the family, on the nuclear family, stress on fathers and mothers, stress on children. So the book argues that children can have many other mentors, adult role models, who can help play a role in the formation of a child, including teachers, coaches, leaders of the community activities, the people in churches and synagogues, both professionals and lay volunteers, many lay volunteers. So there is many possibilities of support, according to Mrs. Clinton. So where is the village? Where is that village that can help raise the child? In this book, who is the village? It's the adults that the child meets that can take an interest in that child and might encourage that child's growth both in terms of skills and also values and orientations that will be able to help that child become an autonomous and ethically aware person. So I look at this book back, it's 23 years since it was published, 24 years. It strikes me that Clinton left out a lot to chance. A lot happens that requires a little intention. She argued that parents have the primary responsibility for the child, but other adults contribute as well. And Clinton's idea is the caretakers of her community are other parents, neighbors, and helping professionals, the good peoples of religious communities. It might seem entirely possible that the mentor of a child might be a stranger to the parent, somebody the parent doesn't even know. Our society has no formal system for designating elders. We do not have a way to say, Audrey Shenandoah, you are trusted. We designate you a teaching elder, a wisdom keeper. There are no clan mothers. Clinton is right. There are many caring adults in society whose influence on the children is transformative, helpful, supportive, good, and whose influence on children could be transformative. But our communities are a far cry from being villages, with an intentional sense of all for one and one for all, with a capacity to be, if somebody sees a child on the street, you know who that child is, whose family that child is. The African proverb from which this book title was derived is roughly translated, it takes a whole village to raise a child. The key word here is whole. Whole. Now, we might think that the word means whole, like everyone. It takes a whole congregation to do a fall fair or something. Everybody is involved. But surely that sense people are involved is vital. It's a good idea that everybody's involved. So in the African sense of the proverb, it takes a whole village to raise a child. It means something else. It means intentional community. Actually, the word in the original sense is whole in the sense of mature, complete, not broken, values-centered. It takes a healthy village to raise a child. It takes an intentional village to raise a child. It takes an entire village modeling ethics and values to raise a child that embodies those ethics and values. It takes a whole village to raise a child. In the African original meaning of that proverb is not what we find in Clinton's book. Her book is a salute, and a good salute, to all the adults who act in a good way to children. All the good adults who might randomly find in any given community, her book is a thank you to them as role models. And she urges the rest of us to become involved. It's good to say thanks to good people. And it's good to ask other people to become involved. But the African proverb does not assume good neighbor volunteerism. It assumes real community. Community. A real community comes out of intentional efforts of the participants to be community. Real community comes out of honoring the individuals for their intellectual, ethical, and personal lives and saying, this person is good. A sharing of good times and bad times. It requires a community celebrations. The village that chose Audrey Shenandoah as her clan mother exists in a traditional community of people who seek to sustain and enrich their culture and values. They say, I am Anegada. My ancestors did this. We will do this again. Yet most people who live in big cities seek other ways of being in community, not traditional ways. Many people have suggested that religious communities can become intentional, intergenerational communities, where parents are supported, young people can experience models of mature, caring adults, and see many models, not just one model, but many models. I've spoken to many of you over the last month, and I know this question has been asked to me. How does this congregation become an intentional, intergenerational community? How? We've tried to have a children's program, but it sustains itself, and the epidemic came, and we lost children, and we need to rebuild it. People say that. And I say, right, we will. We will work on that. That's something to work on. We need a children's program. And programs are good things. But programs by themselves do not create community. If people came to church looking for community and we only gave them programs, they would go away hungry. Most of us are familiar with the consumer mentality. In a consumer society, there are providers of goods and services. There are consumers of goods and services. Let me repeat that. In a consumer society, there are providers of goods and services, and there are consumers of goods and services. When we become a part of a community, we no longer see the church as a provider of programs, of services, of religious service provider. Check off, it's got this program, it's got that program. All those are good things, but we have to imagine young people and children as part of the community, not people, consumers who are served by programs. And instead of a program for children, we imagine intergenerational activities. Our joining together becomes times when we celebrate each other, and our celebration is a special passage for our members. In those ways, we invite each other and celebrate the community we are always becoming. We never get there. We're always becoming the community we seek to be. So it takes a whole village to raise a child. I retranslate that. It takes a wholesome village to raise a child and sustain an adult. Let us be about building that community every day. Together, we can find a new way. Let us sing together, Dear Weaver of Our Heart's Desire, number 22. hear my benediction. Reverend Mark Morrison Reed teaches us that the central task of religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each person to all people. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particularities of our lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. Let this congregation unveil the bonds of each to all. Go in peace. Go in love. And now, sit for the prelude, which is going to be great. Postlude. Postlude.
We'll share the joy.